Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the CapesandLunatics. I am Phil. Lilith is here, and we are joined by two special guests to review the Fantastic Four First Steps movie, and we're going to spoil the hell out of it. Mr. D.G. Chichester and Don't Call Me Mr. Greg Wright.
There we go.
Seat fillers extraordinaire.
The most famous asses in the city this weekend. Yes, Mr. D.G. Chichester and Greg Wright. How are you?
We're good. We're back. We're fantastic. How else could we possibly?
We're fantastic.
Yes.
Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Next week will be terrific if we go to Terrificon, but this week we're fantastic. So
yeah, because Lilith, we were just talking about that. Is this like the first time like Marvel was like, or the MCU has scheduled a movie on Comic-Con weekend?
I feel like yes.
Yeah.
Or it's been a really long time since they did it. And again, Disney does its own thing.
Yeah. But I mean,
like Comic-Con has become very low priority for a lot of places, for a lot of like companies lately.
well, I was gonna say this year it seemed like I don't think any of the big movie places or any of the studios are at Comic-Con or.
I totally forgot it was Comic-Con weekend until I saw the Matt and Trey Parker. I was like, oh dang it, it is.
Oh, the South Park, yeah.
I'm so sorry. Yes, that was the best.
Terribly sorry.
Terribly sorry.
Relax. But yeah, Fantastic Four. I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but yes, it's good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
And what about you, Lilith?
Yeah, oh yes, she's
You got a pin up, a cool pin to be made, so I'm guessing you dug it.
I liked it. I mean, I actually am like one of the few people who didn't. I mean, for what it was at the time, I didn't mind the first original Fox Fantastic, the first movie, not the second one.
The
So
first,
it's okay.
the Corman one, or the first Fox, the Corman? No, not
the first Fox one.
the Fox one.
Yeah.
The
I
Captain
really enjoyed
America
it.
as Johnny Storm one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
I enjoyed Ian Griffith.
Yeah, I always
as,
liked him.
As
I liked
Reed.
him.
I thought that was like the best take to date on that one. So.
Oh, did I see also one of those premieres? They invited most of the previous Fantastic Four cast there, including that very first one. I think basically everyone but Trank's Fantastic Four, every other Fantastic Four they invited.
No, I just the cast of the Corman one is actually in the movie.
Oh yeah, I did see it.
Yeah.
I only picked the only ones I picked up was the guy that played Johnny Storm and the guy that played the Thing. They were construction workers during one of the battles. You can actually see it if you go on Disney Plus and look at it's like the first 6 minutes of the movie sort of there. But you can see it at one point, Johnny Storm salutes one of these construction workers and the construction worker salutes him back. And
that's cool.
That's the guy that played the Human Torch in that. And then apparently the people that played Reed and Sue are newscasters. So that's kind of cool that they brought them in and let them be in that movie. Kind of like Superman, they had Chris Reeves' son was in it as a newscaster. I don't know. I like little nods like that to people that maybe have been completely ignored for a very long time, but are part of the history.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be something crazy. It just is like it's there and it's kind of a nice beat. But
So yes, you two gentlemen went to a premiere. And again, I'm interested in your opinions because I mean, you have worked for Marvel. I mean, you've worked on, if not the Fantastic Four book, like Fantastic Four outs, and other things you've worked on. So I mean, what do you?
I've been in an office where they were making the Fantastic Four.
No, come on, Fantastic! The first thing that pops into my head.
I use the characters all at once.
I was gonna say Fantastic Four showed up in that Nick Fury book. I remember that.
That's right.
They did.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm sure Greg probably colored some Fantastic Four because he was on every other book in the 90s. So.
I colored a few Fantastic Fours. I also did, which is funny. It just occurred to me this week that I colored this Superman Fantastic Four comic that they did at DC that Dan Jurgens wrote. And I thought, wow, this is an appropriate thing at the moment. And it was released in that digest size.
Oh yeah,
digest that. I don't know what you'd call Treasury Edition size. So it was like big. So that was kind of fun. But the thing is, if you worked at Marvel and if you ever worked on the Fantastic Four, that's the book that started the whole Marvel universe. So that's the one movie you wanted to kind of get it right. And I don't know what previous filmmakers have been thinking, except for the Corman one. The Corman one's actually sort of faithful. But
Well,
they're
it's
like
that whole '90s, early 2000s thing of we don't want anything goofy in it, and let's be real, some of it is a little goofy as it's meant to be, because like I was discussing last week, it's like the men that grew up at the time were like their influences are like those 40s 50s B movies, and Fantastic Four original like 60s is very much an ode to that. And so if you don't like really understand where they're coming from, I don't think you can, like, sometimes you have a hard time appreciating like the beauty of early Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I and I get that, but like, how can you fuck up Doctor Doom so badly in
It's
3
really
movies
easy. It was easy
before
to do
we
in
got
the
to this?
2000s.
We haven't even seen what they're going to do now. But I mean, that was the thing. You ruined Doctor Doom 3 times.
Come
What
on,
the
if you're gonna have an entrance, Greg, for a supervillain coming out of a garbage truck, you really can't aim much higher than that. I mean,
They told you everything you needed to know.
that really, there's some spot on subliminal activity going on there. That was pretty classic.
I mean, that was like the first refreshing thing about this movie. Is like finally we get a Fantastic Four movie.
They
There's
lean into
no
it.
Doctor Doom, or at least until the mid credits. Spoiler, but
And it didn't,
I didn't care about
need.
that part. It was, but Galactus was Galactus. He wasn't this
He
weird
wasn't a gas cloud.
and he looked good.
Shalabar looked like Shalabar. She had a great entrance. Everything about it. It was, everywhere I looked was like, hey, that's cool. That's cool. Oh, I like that there. That's really neat. Whereas, the other ones, the only thing I liked about the first 2 was I like Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. Thought he pretty much nailed that. I thought Michael Chiklis was actually really good as the Thing, and I didn't really mind the things. It didn't look quite right, but it was good. But Jessica Alba and Ian Garfona, or whatever the hell his name, did a terrible job as Reed and Sue. Like, oh, by the way, Sue works for Dr. Doom. What the?
Yeah.
What?
It would have been better if it was Namor, but
I don't know. I actually went back and I watched all 3 of those movies to see, how does this compare to the new one really? And the first 2, I actually enjoyed them far more than I remember enjoying them. But then I got to that Josh Trank disaster, and I was like,
no one enjoyed.
Nothing happens in this movie forever, and then the Thing is naked. The Thing doesn't even do hardly anything, and I just went, wow, this is terrible.
They use that movie to torture certain prisoners in certain countries.
I don't know, So I mean, it was like, this was. I mean, I actually really had to ponder this movie because I have to kind of get over myself and what I'm expecting in the movie. And the more I thought about it, the more I really liked the new movie. I love the look. I'm a sucker for retro future stuff just to start with. But when I really got down to it, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, that is the heart of this movie. And all the little things from the trailer that I was like, oh God, why is Herbie in here? Oh my God, what's that? Why can't the Thing have this other voice? Little things like that. I really didn't give any thought to any of that during the movie. I just really kind of sat and enjoyed myself, and was like, "Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool." So yeah, 2 thumbs up for me.
Oh yeah, I think it worked so well. They put it on the Earth 828 because again they could could do that whole look and stuff. And again, it's an homage to they started in the 60s because again all those other Fantastic Four movies, I think they tried to modernize them. Yeah, that kind of hurt it.
I was kind of worried when they were like, we're doing the baby thing, and I'm like, oh, okay. Then I was like, oh, we're gonna use him to. Okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that could have gone so poorly, and I thought it went really well. I do question letting a pregnant woman, kind of go up in a rocket, but
Well, she got to be the first woman to give birth in 0G.
Well, but they leaned into it, so that was the thing. They sort of leaned into stuff, and I bought it. So
well, if it's the 60s, they were doing anything in the 60s.
So it's really nice to have 2 superhero movies kind of actually doing these sort of positive kind movies and
leaning into the
and there's a little bit of I found these a little more realistic between the conversation that Lois and Clark had when she was like really grilling him, and the conversation Reed and Sue are having about the realities of what Reed has to think about and how horrible it is to think that as his wife. And I went, wow, these are to me, those are like these things that solidified these, is that, I care about these characters. I get these characters. It does make sense that they would think that way. And, it's hats off to, I thought maybe only the Russo brothers could make Marvel movies, but clearly they found somebody else.
I mean, just all those effects were good. Reed stretching, Galactus. I mean, it would have taken me out of it if Galactus didn't look good. Galactus looked great.
Well, that was the thing. After not getting Galactus when they're like, here's Galactus, we got him, and I was like, ooh, I didn't realize a lot of that was actually a guy in a suit.
I know, that's what made it so great.
I thought, this looks really good, but I had no idea, because the way they shot it, he felt huge. I didn't realize that, it was there was an actual suit. So you see these pictures behind the scenes. I'm like, oh my God, that would be the coolest thing ever, to be walking around like Galactus. So I'm wondering, did he get to walk through a miniature New York kicking shit over? He
said he didn't. He said it was, it was shot in a green or seamless or whatever, and then they composited him in. But he got to do the whole kaiju thing. But that made it, 10 times more interesting even afterwards for me, when I found out that was essentially a practical effect. Because I was watching it thinking, oh, that's a really cool CGI Galactus, body cap, motion capped, with the actor. But it was really him in a suit, which was just probably, so much better.
We want to encourage them to do more of that.
Yeah, I think that probably really added to it, added to the whole just feeling of it being real for everybody there to actually see him. I'm sure at some point walking around like that.
Well, that's what a lot of the recent movies have been talking about, trying to do more practical effects for that reason, because for the actors, they can react to it better. I mean, Ewan McGregor, after he made the prequels of Star Wars, he said, it wasn't really any fun because it's me on a green stage walking on a treadmill talking to a ball. Or they here, climb on this box, and he's like, where am I supposed to look? It's like when the movie's out, he's like, wow, that's amazing. I had nothing to react to. Whereas like the later movie, when they made the next round, the sequels, I guess, there was a lot more practical,
whatever they're called.
I don't know, but there was more stuff right there for you to react to. Right. And I think it makes a huge difference, because when I watch the prequels, they sort of look like a video game to me.
Yeah, but it's easy to, it's easy and rightful in some ways to diss on the prequels. But on the other hand, Lucas did get it all right about civilization, tearing itself apart over tariffs and trade negotiations. And
yeah, I like that part. I just it didn't look like a video game,
And he did, and but he jump started everything. I mean, they're crappy movies, but I mean, none of that stuff would have happened in terms of computer effects if he hadn't really just sort of pushed it as hard as he did. That doesn't make it a good movie, but it makes him a visionary.
Well, yeah. I mean, none of the effects that we get to see in any of the movies, specifically the ones we just saw, like the FF, none of that would have been possible without all the stuff that Lucas did.
Right. Right.
He was the one that pioneered that, and now they have that the room, the LED room where, they, because they showed the behind the scenes of Superman, and like they've got, the guy on this thing, they're whipping him around, and in front of him is the stuff, and they just are shooting it basically practical with the background. Yeah. Like, wow. But he can see what he's flying into. And then, and I really like the light that comes off the screen that hits the actors. So it makes them feel like they're,
not added after.
They're there. It's like when they did it on The Mandalorian, and then you find out afterwards that how they shot it, you're just like, what? Because it looked like they, built all these huge sets and they were outside. And then you find out, no, there were this big outside scene was shot inside, with like a movie screen, which is how they used to do it. They used to put the actors in front of a movie screen, and, or they'd be driving with a little projection behind them and some guy with lights.
Now it looks a little slicker, but
yeah.
Yeah, cool. I love the very saturated aesthetics of this movie. It was time.
Yeah,
it was Superman. It was time. Like, yes, I can finally see something in the movie theater. Thank you. Did anybody see this in IMAX? Because this is an IMAX movie, I have to say.
Did you see it in IMAX?
Yes.
Yeah. No,
so
I didn't.
In IMAX, was it square, or did they show it, widescreen.
Widescreen.
So was it still that tall?
Yeah, it was good. Like the action pieces specifically felt so good in IMAX.
Well, there's so many great visuals to see. I mean, every scene is just packed with stuff. You know, I just kept wanting to, like,
no doubt.
You know, pause it so I could get a look at all the stuff. So you know, I'll be very much looking forward to seeing that when I can pause it and take a look, because there's
4K.
there's all kinds of stuff that apparently there's supposed to be a couple actors portraying Kirby and Lee during one of the fight scenes.
Yeah, you missed that. That was
I didn't see that. I saw like a comic book page at one point.
Yeah, they went by it so quick. It was like two guys staring
out
a window. Yeah, I didn't even get a good look at the guys.
It was blink and you miss it, but it was a nice little nod.
I missed that one. I'm sure there was a lot of other sort of fun stuff. The one thing I picked up was there's this song, they call it the monorail song in a Disney. But it's really called A Nation on Wheels, and it was written by George Bruns, and they used that in part of the movie when Reed was like trying to figure something out, and you hear this da 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 da, and it's this very retro future sounding music, and I was shocked that it was there, and I'm looking through the credits, I'm like, I don't see them crediting the monorail song anywhere. Well, that's because it's not really called the monorail song, but I thought that was a neat little bit, because that's, I love the composer of the music for this, because he always does a lot of fun music, and he's the same one that did The Mandalorian, and he uses a lot of stranger instruments, but it felt like a retro soundtrack. I mean, really, what movie have you ever seen where they actually sing the title of the movie in the group as part of the soundtrack often?
Well, I could have used a better. I don't know. I usually like, was it Michael Giacomo?
Is that his name?
I usually like, his stuff, but I could have used something a little more memorable. I didn't find it had like anything that I came out of the theater like humming, aside from, Fantastic Four, but that doesn't work for me. So,
Actually, he didn't do The Mandalorian. That was
it was a different.
That was a different song. Before I forget, I wanted to show the little pin to
again,
folks. I don't think I showed it before. So this is what they gave. Yeah, this is what they gave us at the screening, but only to the person that was invited, not to.
Right. Yeah, the person who came with you, they got dissed. They got nothing. They got a free popcorn, a free soda. So, which is still nice.
I appreciate both got popcorn and a soda.
To be a fly on that seat in between these two.
Lilith, they both got tickets. They were afraid they're gonna have to be each other's dates, but they both.
Well, I called. I sent him a note right away, and he sent me a note right away. He said, "You want to go to the movie?" Like we were within like 30 seconds of each other, like saying, "You want to go to the movie?" And then we both found out that we'd both been invited. So that was encouraging, at least, to know that we were on each other's minds. So, but then we got to bring our wives, and
well, we wanted to be each other's dates, but we were forced to bring our wives.
Exactly. and Carl Potts had to go along. Carl usually invites me, if he doesn't have anybody to go with. So,
and this thing was like a big love letter to Jack Kirby. I mean, again, Earth 828, that was Kirby's birthday.
I know. Well, I thought they wrapped that really nicely, because I didn't know that was his birthday. And by setting up Earth 828 at the beginning, it was like, okay, it's another Earth. And then when they ended it with that quote and they built the 828 as tying into his birthday, I thought that was really classy. That was a really great book ending. And did not complicate things. It just was a really nice effect. It just felt like a really, the reason I didn't want to show up at like the when you guys did the Daredevil Born Again review was because to me it was like, okay, it was very it was competently made, but there was nothing very special about it. It was sort of like it just didn't hit the beats, right? It sort of just felt off to me. And this thing, almost right from the beginning, structurally, like it just hit the beats, like the way it was paced, the way they intercut the origins, the way they intercut the pop culture of the Fantastic Four, the dialogue, the dynamics, the ribbing between Johnny and Ben Grimm, the way they shift it from, like Greg was saying, the serious talk, to the all-out action, was just so well integrated, and how they always felt like the Fantastic Four, constantly throughout, whether they were in the suits or not. The sweep of it, going, from the family life to the spaceship to a space battle, it was so well done. It really felt unlike a Marvel movie.
It didn't have that much action. I don't mean that in a bad way, because we did need to get reintroduced to them, and we needed to have a real slice of life with them, and that's what I enjoyed the most.
Right.
Oh my God. But when we did get action, I mean, like that, when they were escaping this Galactus and the Silver Surfer that first time, as Sue's in the middle of delivering a baby, the Surfer is chasing up through light speed,
right, and Reed screaming "kill him" or "kill her," it's
she was like, oh no, she screamed that, she goes, "Kill her, Johnny."
Kill
her, Johnny, kill her. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't expect for that one. But
it was,
but these moments felt, to me, they felt, they felt very real. Not, somebody wants them to say this, it was more like, and again, Vanessa Kirby, I'm so impressed with her ability to take that character and really own that character. And, again, you just want to we're really sick of Pedro Pascal, because he's been in everything I watched.
Pedro Pascal, you're going to get canceled. And you know
what?
The internet's daddy.
I really enjoyed, I thought he did a great job as Reed. And I was like, that's tough, because I'm already going, I'm sorry, sick of seeing you. And I went, nope.
But here's the thing with Pedro Pascal, and somebody, and I think he's a very good actor, so he's not sort of one note in this way. But somebody had me do a podcast. They forced me into it. They made me re-review Wonder Woman 84, which I absolutely hated. When I first saw it. I know.
I'm so sorry. Do you want us to have a talk with them? You can just
we might need, please, on the Backdoor podcast creator network.
That's one of those movies that shall not be named.
But and I remember one of the things I really hated about it was Pedro Pascal, because it was he was so mawkish, the whole theme of the character, moaning to his son all the time, "Daddy's going to be here for you," and all that nonsense. But when I rewatched it, it's still a shitty movie for many reasons. I was saying this to Greg the other day, but Pedro Pascal's villain became something different for me, because over the last 5 or 7 years or whatever it's been, Pedro Pascal has become this protector, right? As a persona, he's shown up in The Mandalorian where he's a protector. He shows up in The Last of Us where he's a protector. So watching the movie again, he did not seem as mawkish to me. And I think that this movie builds on that even more, because Reed is, the performance is really good.
To be an asshole. That's why I said they definitely cast Pedro Pascal as Reed, because Reed's usually got a punchable face, and you just the way he treats the rest of the team most of the time. So they want a likable Reed for this particular.
And that comes through too. But he also is Reed's decisions and Reed's thinking, and Pedro Pascal's performance as it benefits from what we now perceive Pedro Pascal to be, which does not mean as an actor he just has to become a one-note actor and only ever do this. He certainly doesn't do it in Eddington, that crazy as fuck, movie that just came out. But it really builds on that with this, which made him, as I think many people have sort of said, they doubted him in the trailers, but they came away really loving his Reed Richards in this.
I mean, they even gave a reason in the story of why he can come off as cruel. It's he's smart enough where he sees every option, and he has to think through every option, no matter how horrible it may be.
Right.
AKA Dr. Manhattan style, yeah.
Right, but he's a little, I don't know if I'm sure they played this in the comic, whether he's, autistic or, on the spectrum in its own way, but he sort of comes across as this, he's clearly a genius, but he's just not an arrogant genius. He's got doubts, and he's got all this other stuff, but he can work his way through things, which I thought was a really great play on. I mean, all of them were really well done.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Johnny was great because he wasn't, this one note, hot shot, fly boy type thing. The whole fact of him wanting to figure out the whole Silver Surfer thing on his own was a great riff.
Well, they made him smart and not just because it never made sense in the comics. Reed's going up with his pilot buddy, his girlfriend, and his little brother. that never made sense in the comic, not for a second. So every movie's had to figure out something, but this is the first time I went, okay, I believe why those four went up together at this point.
Right.
You know, and I was like, okay, they're all smart, they're all scientists. And then you saw the aftermath of, you know, all this stuff Sue Storm has done. You see what Johnny has been doing, and I really liked that because I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Now I don't have to think about that bit of stuff that's, because there's always stuff that you just go, well, you know, and even Herbie. I mean, I enjoyed Herbie in the movie. You know, I was like, well, I'm not gonna like that part. Yeah, I thought they did a good job with Herbie, especially
even,
when, you know, he's building the crib, and that's
even
your
the simple gag there when they switched the tape from like, what was it, like, you know,
home to space,
home to space, right? It was like, it's a 3-second bit, but it's like, that's really funny.
It was, especially if you were like from our VHS generation,
right? That was really like a great, you know, bit, and you know, you blink and you miss it, but that's why it felt, I think, to me, why it was such an experience is it's wall to wall. Like Greg said, you want to watch this again just to see what are no doubt many more details, you know, that we missed. I mean, I don't know what was going on in Times Square, but there has to be 10 times as much stuff than I saw, and that's just brilliant.
And I mean just all the shout outs we got to, like, you know, the Mad Thinker, the Red Ghost and the Super Apes,
right? Did you catch the Stark Co on the pregnancy test?
What was it?
It's
on the pregnancy test. It said Stark Co, like Stark.
Oh no!
Yeah,
so that was like, what's going on there? You know,
it's okay. That's interesting. You know what? I found out. I didn't realize Jack Kirby actually designed Herbie for the cartoon show, which I believe he also did storyboards for.
Oh, really?
So Herbie is actually a Jack Kirby creation. So
that's probably another reason he was in here. Yeah.
I don't know, but it worked. You know.
I mean, I
always had thought that the reason Herbie was in the Fantastic Four cartoon was because they didn't want kids setting themselves on fire to be the Human Torch, which apparently is not true.
I heard there was like a weird rights thing with the.
It was a rights thing, yeah. They had the, you know, because Stan and his idiotic selling characters off for licensing left and right. Apparently, yeah, they were. It was a licensing problem. They couldn't use the Torch because he was being used for something else. So they had to invent Herbie. Although I sort of like the idea that, where terrified children will set themselves on fire is a much better story.
I still like the Dan Aykroyd Human Torch costume from Saturday Night Live. It's an oily rag and a. Remember when he was like, it's an oily rag and a match. You know, it's like the Halloween costume. Do what you want with it. You know.
Yeah, because like I saw. I guess another thing, like people were complaining that, you know, the thing was, you know, flirting with that woman and it wasn't Alicia. But I was just reading somewhere. I guess they were saying it was an homage to Jack Kirby's wife, I guess, because the whole thing was like, oh, you know, Ben Grimm was supposedly Jack Kirby's insert character and, you know, his self-insert character and stuff.
Well, Kirby said he was Reed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. But you know, it's like he said at the end. All the characters he created were him, you know, just different versions of him. And you know, and that's, you know, when we write characters, most of there's a good bit of us in them, you know, certain horrible characters, maybe more than others. But you know, but you know, he had said, you know, he always thought, you know, he was Reed because, you know, he was smart, you know, but the thing was another part of this other part of him. I don't know. But I enjoyed the thing, and the fact that they didn't gravel his voice really didn't bother me while I was watching the movie. I just went, okay, because the actor who I really like, I think he just did such a good job bringing.
But didn't you want him? Didn't you say you were like weirded out by you wanted his voice gravelly until you saw it?
And then I was like, okay, you know what? This is just working for me. But in the trailer, I kept going, I wish they'd just gravel it up a little bit. But, you know, when I watched the movie, I believed that he was walking around with everybody. You know, I didn't think, you know, look, it's some guy in a suit, or I just went, this is the guy, you know, he's, you know, and it was just, you know, that was the thing. I bought everything. I didn't sit there and go,
No, I had no problems throughout. The only thing I had a problem with was the ending. Was the Doom bit. I thought that felt off tone to the rest of the movie, and it raised the hackles on my skin of like, you are going back into this multiverse bullshit, and that is the wrong way to go.
Well,
Right.
yeah, that's the only way they get them. We get them into the normal Marvel universe.
No, but I mean, like, it just felt like, oh god, here we go again, and it's like.
Although I don't know if they're going to finally put an end, at least for a while, to that multiverse stuff. Because after the next 2 Avengers movies, they said they're going to recast all the X-Men. I think they said Tony Stark.
They said they're done with the multiverse after this, but we'll.
But they should have been down with the multiverse after the stupidity of giant ants defeating Kang in Ant-Man 3. It was like your big bad got defeated by a bunch of ants, so that's really like.
But was it the MODOK was so awesome?
It was pretty awesome. Yeah,
I still don't understand. With all this money for these special effects, I mean, it literally looked like some 10-year-old, just sort of superimposed their face, onto something that was already done. And it's like
it's like an Instagram filter or something. Right. Yeah.
When Party City, God rest Party City, doesn't even do a costume of MODOK, as a ripoff, it's a failure.
Yeah, it's. But yeah, I was like, how could this be as bad as all this? I think Ant-Man, it just got too big. I liked, Ant-Man is better in a smaller movie, So when they made
granted, yes,
it's too much.
But my point was like, the multiverse, and I was talking to Ralph about this, Ralph Macchio, and Phoenix too. It's like the multiverse is inherently an awful dramatic device. If you can undo anything you want, it is. There's no, we all laugh probably if we watch Loki, and like he opens the drawer and there's like 4,000 Infinity Stones and like every like TVA worker's like desk drawer. It's like, oh, it's a funny bit. But then if you think about it for another beat, it invalidates everything, right? All the angst you had and all the good stuff you got out of those movies just goes down the toilet. And if you can remake anything you want at any given time, then there's no dramatic stakes whatsoever, and it's all just a confusing mishmash, and that's a big problem.
It seems like we're going to put the multiverse the rest maybe for a while after we get all new 22-year-old X-Men. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm fine if they all got to group them together and say Dimensional Rift and like they all like throw them together, and that's sort of where Thunderbolt's ending was going. That's fine. I can live with that's your rationale. But if they start playing like a bunch of, well, it's the Tony Stark from this dimension, and he's really Doom in this dimension, and this is over here, you are going to lose everybody you just won back. Because they won back a lot of people with this movie, I think.
Yes.
I think so.
I think this movie, Tim Toohey, who was an editor at Marvel, a great guy, he said he took his daughter to the movie, and before the movie she started, she said to him, if this sucks, I am done with Marvel movies, I
heard a lot of people saying that though, really.
And, for her, it did not suck, but, that's a reprieve. That's not like a win back, yet. You got to build on this and learn the lessons from this. And as much as I like the Russo brothers, and they did phenomenal work, with everything they've done, you hope they're not going to slip back into all the awful stuff that we've seen for the last, when it was like 5 years now, right? Or more, of crappy movies, badly paced movies.
I mean, you would think they would learn over decades, but I watch Superman, then I watch this, and I'm like, okay, maybe they're finally learning the lesson. The closer you stick to the source material, the better the movie is.
Yeah.
Well, it's also just, there are certain things about the way any movie is made, not just the source material, and these both Superman and this delivered on it, and that's something that, and Gunn is, James Gunn, apparently has a rule, which I don't think Marvel has, do not start the movie until you have the final script, or a good solid script. Apparently Avengers has started without a final script.
Yeah.
So but that's a pretty big, that should be a pretty obvious rule,
Marvel seems to write these movies by committee sometimes, and James Gunn, he fucking writes a movie and then he does it.
He is, yeah, he is the committee.
So having too many cooks in the kitchen is never a good idea.
Right.
And
figure it out as you go along, especially when you got that spread of characters and how you're managing it. And as much as we all enjoyed, Wolverine and Deadpool, or Deadpool and Wolverine, whatever it was, and all the multiverse nonsense there, that's not a movie, right? It's an enjoyable romp. That is not a movie. There's no structure to that. You are getting by on the force of personality alone.
Yeah. But I didn't care because I just sat there grinning.
And I didn't care, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But you are getting by completely on.
It's an absolute fan service movie.
And
we deserved it after the slop we had before. I feel like they just
absolutely,
just give them.
But it is Nitro, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman that drives that movie, right? Nothing else. It's like Caddyshack. Nothing drives Caddyshack. Caddyshack should not.
Actually.
Caddyshack should not work as a movie in any way, shape, or form. And the only reason it works is the force of personality.
Well, it's the same thing with the first Indiana Jones movie.
Well,
it's a movie about a guy that can't keep his hand, loses nonstop.
It's true.
Right up to the end. You just don't care.
Archie Goodwin had told us, because he had read the script before the movie came out, right? Before Marvel. I actually have the original script I stole from The Office that says with Shooter's signature, we will do this deal. But Archie had read the script and he said, reading the script without having seen the movie, he said, this doesn't work. The hero never achieves anything. He fails constantly throughout. And it is only the force of the movie, Harrison Ford and Spielberg's relentless direction, that makes it work.
It's true.
But I do have that.
At DG Check.
I'll auction that off.
No, I've heard that.
Well, see, now it might be worth something because Shooter's signature is on it. So
that's it.
Oh, yeah.
You never know. It is sad, when watching the movie. I think there's so many people that I wish could have seen this movie to see what they would have thought. It's like, I wonder what would Shooter have thought of this movie? What would Archie Goodwin have thought of this movie? What would Mark Grunwald have thought of this movie? What would Kirby have thought of this movie? What would Stan have thought of it? They finally got this movie right, and it's like there's a whole bunch of people that it'd be nice if they could have seen it. But for all I know, they all would have hated it. So,
I mean, they probably would have given Jack Kirby a Stan Lee cameo in it if he had been around.
Well, I don't think Kirby would have ever done a cameo.
Oh, really?
He just never seemed to be that guy. He didn't like any attention on himself, but he didn't like Stan taking all the attention.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he just, if you ever listen to some of these old Marvel records where Stan is dragging Kirby and other people in the bullpen into talking on the record, you can just hear that they just hate it. And Stan's loving it, and the rest of them are like, no. I don't think Ditko ever got on one of those records.
Oh, I don't think, from what I hear.
Fuck that. But Kirby's on a couple of them, and you could just tell that he just not interested in being there. Man, I would have loved to have been in that room, but if he was even in the same room.
Oh, that's what we need. Some kind of soundtrack for certain issues of comics. Oh, wait, that's right. The Chichester chats. We do have that.
Shameless plug.
That's right. We'll be recording a new one this weekend.
The commentary track for this issue of Daredevil. Oh, yes.
This sucked. Who wrote this?
MC Wyman thought that Daredevil could rip a corridor off with one hand. No, that was true. He drew the guy weighing 260 pounds, and he just one hand ripped the corridor off. And when I talked to him at one point, he goes, "Oh, I thought all Marvel heroes could do that." And I'm like, "Oh, so no one's ever told you that the different heroes have different abilities?" He didn't know.
That should be the editor's job. Shame on that office. But
you would think. I mean, because I was, because we worked, working in the Marvel Universe office, we were constantly sending this information to any new person, and if stuff came in that was a little off, it went back, or it went to the bullpen to be fixed, because Grunwald was the biggest continuity
buff
on the planet. But it infected me. So everything I see is, well, that's not the right way to do things.
I was going to ask Mark, but he was hiding in his platform.
There was a day when he just popped up out of the platform, and I was like, what? I didn't know he was down there. He probably did it just to scare me.
But again, and I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's butt, but I'm like, I'm always with these superhero movies. I'm just like, why don't they have at least like one or two comic book writers in there? People who've done the job, and just like, even just for notes. I'm not saying, you have to throw them into the actual like writing of the script, but how about some like, oh, hey, that's a good idea, or no, that ain't that. No, I wouldn't do that.
Well, they never want.
Because Hollywood knows everything, and that's, and sometimes they do a really good job and sometimes they don't. It was like when, at the time when like Hollywood was getting involved in like video games, for a while. Well, we're going to have Hollywood writers get involved with the video games, because Hollywood really knows how to structure a story. Well, maybe they do, but they don't know how to structure.
It's not the same medium.
Right.
It's not.
Exactly. It's nice they're acknowledging like, the comic creators, that they're drawing so heavily from. I mean, they're burying them at the back of the movie and like, in a blink and you miss it sort of like scroll of things. But, and, Tom DeFalco, who was in the audience, with us, got a nice shout out from, the Marvel editor, who was sort of introducing the evening, for his work, on it. But,
and Ron Garney.
And Garney. Yeah, Garney got a nice shout out.
Nice little shout out. And then he made fun of Chris Claremont for not being there.
Right. But,
which was kind of funny.
I mean, since they're drawing so heavily from the comics, what are they going to gain from the comic writers in that instance? I'm not sure, you know, but, and, in certain instances, they're at least including them, right? In like in the Superman one, it looked like Gunn again brought a lot of people out to the set at one point. I remember seeing a bunch of photos like that. It looks like a lot of them got invited to the premiere as well. I don't know if any comic people got invited to the Fantastic Four premiere. I can't remember. Some of them may have been, but I don't remember seeing anybody.
DC specifically, they've had a historic record of not so they've been trying to be a little bit better about that lately.
They're trying to make it work. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Aren't a lot of goodwill and all those things. So it's been rough for DC. Marvel has a little more leeway.
But I mean, at least this movie, it seems like either someone did their homework or someone was a big fan of like the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I think somebody cared about the source material, and and what they could do with it, and had a lot of fun. I mean, it feels like the filmmakers and everybody there had a lot of fun making this.
Yeah, it felt fun. I mean, that's the big thing. I mean,
well, and they shot in pine woods over in England, which gives it a totally different vibe too. You don't have like they have different paparazzi laws, and you're not swarmed, and people just have a little more couth over there too. So, I think where you film and things like that also give it a different vibe and feeling to the whole production. So I feel like everybody involved like had a little more of a chill time than they would have had they shot somewhere else.
Yeah, maybe that's true too. But I do think the fun aspect of both this and Superman, are really important to their success, at least from an audience point of view, right? They come across as, and the world sucks right now, as well. So it's nice just to have a fun outlet. But I think at any time, that vibe it comes through. It comes through on the screen. I mean, that's great, to have that sort of energy, going. You don't get that enough, especially for a long time when superhero films had to be either serious or so goofy. You go back to those original Fantastic Four ones, Greg, like you were talking about, like the Sue has to work for Doom. There was that whole thing. Everyone had to be somebody's brother or uncle or double, or something to be, in the mix. And it was deadly
the second
serious.
one pisses me off to no end, where they make her do the blonde hair, the blue contacts, and like the whole.
I don't even remember that. I don't even know if I saw the second one. Jeez.
Oh, well, the second one's great because she damaged her hair dyeing it blonde, so they gave her this horrible blonde wig for the second movie. And again, the only reason she was there was so that they could do the joke of her having to get naked.
No clothes,
Like, come on, she's a better actress than that. Write her an actual part.
Well, they certainly did that this time. I mean,
Yeah.
she is without question, I think, the most commanding presence in the movie.
Yeah, me too.
You know, in terms of both, you know, she's got the public face, you know, she's got the Fantastic Four face, you know, she's obviously like incredibly like powerful, both as a, you know, as a presence and you know, with her superpowers. I mean, every level delivers on that.
And she's the only one out of those four the Mole Man respects, it seems like.
Yeah, I love that. Mole Man was great.
That was a good
I love Mole Man. You know, that was my favorite part. That and the Fantastic Four. I was like, yes.
Oh yeah, when the Fantastic Four when it goes into pieces, I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Mole Man could have been more serious, I guess, in a way, but I loved him. I thought he was terrific. Yeah. And when they went to the whole I don't know if that was something from the comic, but when they evacuated the you know, New York to the, you know, subterranean realm, I thought that was great. I don't know if that was something stolen from the comic, but that was like, oh yeah, perfect.
I don't know
where are they all going to go.
I wonder what Byrne thinks, because, you know, Byrne was very adamant, you know, that Sue Storm is the most powerful of the four.
Right.
Really did push a lot of that. I feel like they took a lot of, you know, the way he produced, the way he showed Sue Storm. So I'm wondering what did John Byrne think, you know, or did he think they screwed it up? I don't know. But
I don't know. The fact that his name wasn't up front might have pissed him off. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, especially that last scene, that final battle with Galactus. Yeah, I mean, you really see what she can do.
Yeah, I mean, but it felt everyone got a knock in. You know, everyone got a blow in. You know, to sort of like navigate it to that moment.
Johnny was ready to sacrifice himself.
Yeah.
At Galactus.
Yeah. I would have liked one, and this is such a nit, but I would have liked, because the best Fantastic Four movie remains The Incredibles. But you know,
yes,
I would have liked one. Like, I love the one shot in The Incredibles, you know, where it's that sweep when they're on the island and they all come together and the camera sort of like pans around them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I would have liked one Fantastic Four shot, sort of like that, you know, where like everybody like comes together in that moment and you see them all sort of mid-power or something.
Well, you know, they stole that shot in the first Avengers movie.
Yeah. No, they did.
Shot from there. That's from The Incredibles.
Yeah, but The Incredible, you know, this was an extraordinarily good movie. I have no notes, no complaints, you know, in it. But The Incredibles does remain the best.
Yeah,
Fantastic Four movie.
It's so funny because they're like 2 weeks apart, but I think both movies, Superman and Fantastic Four, it just everything was clicking. Like the script, the acting, the special effects, it all just clicked so well.
Yeah, and it's nice that, you know, they don't compete with each other. I mean, they will to some extent, but they just feel like they're both great movies. You know, they're both fun movies, and they both deserve to be a success. You know, and aside from the haters and the trolls who will be like, you know, well, this is going to kill Superman. You know,
well, Superman
so die.
They can fuck themselves. So
yeah, pretty much. You know.
I didn't like it. Okay, you didn't like it.
Right.
I feel like people who didn't see it, who don't like it, didn't see it. They're just complaining to complain.
There's a couple people in the comic industry that said they didn't like Superman, and I'm waiting to hear why. You know, it's like,
because it wasn't the Snyderverse.
No,
Snyder fans are all bots. It's scientifically proven.
There was a guy who rented one of those like billboard trucks in New York and drove it around Manhattan, like, remember the Snyderverse, or basically like on the side of it. So that seems like a bit of an extreme.
That was a colossal waste of money.
Yeah.
Did you say guy, or was he an angry monkey type?
I don't know. That was so awesome. Was that so awesome? I mean, take me like that. Talk about like going, you know, not to shift off the Fantastic Four, but like leaning directly into like just crazy shit. I mean, just a room full of a dimension, not a room, a dimension full of like, you know, crazy troll monkeys typing in like stuff. I mean, there's some brilliance there. That's just like,
It's like I want to see this movie again. So right now.
Oh yeah, I want to see both again.
Yeah.
I don't really want to go pay for it again. Well, we didn't have to pay for it. Well,
Yeah, but
we had to. But by the time you paid for the train and stuff, it actually
I know. By the time you pay for the train and dinner and everything else, it's like it's the most expensive
it was
movie
worth
of
it
the
to
year.
see it with all that, with with you guys and with the group that was there. It was
Yeah.
nice to have a little reunion with some people we hadn't seen for a very long time.
Yep. Absolutely.
Like Lilith said, to be a fly on the wall in that that theater.
Well, there was 2 theaters apparently, so there's a whole bunch of people there that I didn't realize were there that I would have liked to have seen and said hi to.
Fabian was in the other theater, and he said they got $100 bonus, for going to see movies in that theater. But I told him that our theater had the real ending where the live action Incredibles came out of the screen. So I don't think he
That's
believed
the crossover I want to see. I don't want to see Doomsday. That's the crossover I want to see.
That's Disney doing the ultimate, cross
That would have been a funny bit, though.
It would have. The dimensional portal enters and like a live
come
action
into the room, and instead of Doomsday there, he's sitting there looking at the Incredibles.
Right. Damn, wrong universe.
Take that, Jack.
I just wanted the conversation when you two tried to convince Tom DeFalco to dress up like Mr. Incredible, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna play a prank on Fabian." Yeah, come on. I don't know if it would have been too goofy, but I was waiting for a scene at the end, after Silver Surfer knocks Galactus through the portal, and they're like on the edge of the other side of the galaxy or whatever, and Galactus just like, really, after all I've done for you.
He could have ended up in that little asteroid with the Watchers and Stan, sort of.
Oh yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy. What the fuck?
That would have been pretty funny. You see the Watchers sitting there, and then you see Galactus going flying,
drifting by in the background, right? Yeah.
Or that's what gets the Fantastic Four to the MCU is like they knocked Galactus into the MCU.
Right.
Oh, that's what they did. That's how we get rid of the multiverse. Galactus eats the multiverse.
Yeah.
That's the name.
It's a non-starter as a movie device. It really is. I hope they collapse it in on itself and just just get rid of it. It adds nothing. And the movie that was actually named after it, right, the Multiverse of Madness, which I had the greatest hopes for, that they would actually riff on 1,000 things. What was the most fascinating thing? The stoplights are green instead of red, and they had Dippin' Dots ice cream or some shit like that. It was like there was nothing. And Reed Richards, the smartest man in the galaxy, is actually the stupidest man in the galaxy, because he says out loud, well, if he speaks, if he speaks out loud, he can destroy you. Okay, so I'll seal his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I like a lot of that movie. I like Zombie Doctor Strange, and I like any chance Sam Raimi.
That actually was very cool. That the zombie, and I liked seeing live action Agent Carter as Captain Carter.
Right.
I did. I mean, there was a lot of stuff I thought was fun in it, but overall, I was like, I rewatched Shang-Chi and the first Doctor Strange movie recently, and I liked them a lot more than I did when they first came out. So
yeah, Shang-Chi's pretty good up until the CGI battle at the end, and Mads Mikkelsen is just awesome. So I mean,
yeah, he's always good. Wherever he shows up, it's always weird when he tries to be a good guy, but.
Agreed.
Where did he try to be a good guy?
In Rogue One.
Oh yeah, he was goodish. I guess you're right. Yeah,
he's a good guy.
There's good qualities to him.
Here's a little thing that will blow up the Death Star. I programmed him.
Right, but that was brilliant.
But again, he's trying. I'm not buying him as the nice.
I now think of Rogue One as Andor season 3, so that's sort of like my.
Well, because they feed right into each other very nicely.
They do. We finished
Andor. All of the 2 Andors, then watch Rogue One, and then watch the first Star Wars movie if you can find the original.
Good luck. That's
I have a
stay at the time.
I thought I
have to get a VHS on that one.
I have a DVD of it.
I thought I kept my Laserdisc player because I had also kept the Laserdisc of Star Wars. Yeah. And I can't find it anywhere. So I must have
talk about a relic. Now I have Laserdisc because I like retro tech. But
I still have mine.
I don't know.
Not
Did I
that I
convince
ever
you to
watch
buy?
anything on it.
Did I convince you to buy yours? I can't remember.
Yes. Well, I was visiting you in New York, and you had gotten yours, and you were showing me why laser discs were so cool. And first thing, it was the wide screen, so we were actually able to see. And I think you were showing me. I think it was 1776 because you had talked about we'd only seen it, boxed.
Right, box.
And 1776 is so much better when you see it widescreen. You see all the characters there, and you see that it's actually a far more visual movie than we thought. And then you showed me that it had commentary tracks, and then it had all these extras on it. And I immediately was like, I must have this. So I have hundreds and hundreds of laser discs. I got my laserdisc player, and then DVDs came out and did the same thing. I was like,
Yeah.
So
being an early adapter sucks sometimes.
too
But
much
it's
I have
still
like
cool.
20 different versions of Star Wars on VHS, Laserdisc, DVD, and Blu-ray. It's really sad.
Yep. I spent too much time in the Tower Records Laserdisc section when that was still a thing. So
the only thing about Laserdisc is you had convinced me to get the player that plays both sides of the disc, because you'd play the disc and after about 15 minutes you either had to flip the disc or put the disc in, unless you got this player that would stop for like 2 minutes while it rotated around somehow to play the other side.
It was like an 8-track.
Yeah, it was like an 8-track. So it was, the good thing about the DVDs, especially now once they got better, was that the whole movie would just play, unlike the Laserdisc. But yeah, the Laserdisc was that, and now I played a Laserdisc, and it was like the quality of the Laserdisc is terrible compared to the DVDs, even the early DVDs. I was like, oh, because they weren't really built for like the big widescreen TV anyway.
Truth. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Superman and Fantastic Four. Those are going to be Blu-ray purchases when this come out.
Yeah, I can't wait to
So a good summer is what our review is so far. Anything else?
This month, yeah.
This month alone, it's better. It's almost as good as Carbon Hammer.
Shortly, except for Peacekeeper season 2, of course, but
right. What are you guys looking forward to next? What's the rest of your summer look like? What's your next must see? I'll tell you mine.
What, movies or
movies? Yeah, pick movie. What's your next theater trip you absolutely must take?
I don't know. Here. I got enough cinema experts here. Did anybody see the trailer for the new Running Man, the remake of the Running Man? What do you guys?
That actually looks good. That does look good.
I saw that. I was like, I'm gonna have to see this.
And so does
why are you making this? And I went, okay, that's all right. But I hated when they did what was the one with Mars that Schwarzenegger did?
Total Recall.
Total Recall. I didn't like that version. I got to tell you, Dan turned me on to the new Predator trailer for the.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Holy crap! That it's and because I love Prey, and then he had me watch that. What's it called?
Killers.
And that's terrific. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Did you see what they did with Killer of Killers?
I have to go now. I got to go back and watch that.
They added a new ending with Schwarzenegger and Danny Glover in it as well,
and the girl from Prey.
Yeah, she was always in it, but they added Schwarzenegger and Danny Glover. Anyway, so what about you, Lilith? What's your next big must see at the theater?
Oh, I don't know really. I think everything that I've wanted to see this year is already out.
Okay.
I think The Materialist just came out, right? That's also Pedro Pascal. I think I'll go see that.
Nice.
But yeah, I think that's the last movie of the year I'll probably end up seeing. Oh, and Wicked for good.
Wicked actually, I'm definitely going to see that. But I will say Wicked is my model now for a movie like a Marvel movie and how it should be made, because, notwithstanding knowing, The Wizard of Oz, and having watched it multiple times, I think if you watch Wicked and you can turn your brain off a little bit, you recognize that you don't need to know a damn thing about that world in order to enjoy that movie.
Yeah.
Like everything you need is given to you in that movie. And if you pick up on anything else, it's gravy. It's icing on the cake and it's nice. And that's the thing they need to adopt for these other movies.
I was going to say, is that what a prequel should be?
But think about how many movies don't do that.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying that's what they should.
But I watched that movie knowing The Wizard of Oz and having watched it multiple times, And I just at some point just sort of sat back and just took it all in and said, I don't need to know anything about flying monkeys or good witches or anything to enjoy what they're doing. It was really pretty extraordinary, you know. I mean, if you do know it, you're sort of like, that's that. But you don't need to do it in any way. So,
well, that was the first Star Wars movie, you know.
Well, the first Star Wars movie was
a new thing. You didn't have to know anything, and you just sat there going, "Wow,
right,
cool."
Right, or even the second, or even the third. You know, it's sort of like you're just building on it.
You know, you accepted that there's these little scavengers called Jawas that, you know, people kind of, you didn't care why they understood them, why were they, you just were like, that's neat. Oh wait, there's sand people. What are they doing? Oh, I don't care. That's pretty cool. And then it just keeps, you know, you just don't question stuff, and that's you know,
but the baggage
distracted by asking questions in a movie.
Right. But the baggage that gets larded onto things, you know, and they think it's like cool, but it's going to kill an audience. I mean, I couldn't make it past, you know, the first episode of Ironheart for various reasons. I may watch more of it. My wife liked it.
It took me weeks, but I finally finished it the other day.
All right. So you finish it, and apparently Mephisto shows up at the end, right?
Yeah.
So, sorry.
And spoilers, she sees.
No, I liked it.
But it's like
you needed another episode. I was like,
but why of all places does Mephisto show up there, and why does he show up in like a bar or a cafe or wherever the fuck he shows up?
Like a pizza joint.
You know, it should be like a thing.
Yeah,
you know,
it should have been, you know, like it would have made sense in Doctor Strange. It would have made sense, you know, so many other places.
Play it, you know, make it work.
Keep him away from Spider-Man.
No, I didn't enjoy Ironheart because I don't think they gave you like one reason to like root for that character. Like she always made bad decisions, and the only time
that was the thing. That's why I couldn't make it through the first episode. It's like, and forgive me if it changes throughout, but like the first episode, she's bitching and moaning that, you know, she's, you know, that, you know, she doesn't have Tony Stark's money. She doesn't have Tony Stark's, like, you know, whatever, I don't know, like lease on life. And yet she's just had a 4-year ride at MIT doing whatever she wants.
Yeah.
So what are you bitching about? Like, it seems to me like
that was a giant
your
flaw,
bridges.
you know.
Maybe I missed it. I don't know.
I thought Wakanda was giving you money.
I thought she had the Tony Stark scholarship, but she just seemed like she was, I don't know.
And I mean, okay,
I feel like Ironheart was just too little, too late. Like that phase is over. She's not gonna matter. We're not doing another Black Panther, as far as we know, for at least another whatever.
Well, maybe there's that too, right?
Yeah, they do it. They should have done it right after
the Wakanda cartoon coming to Disney Plus soon.
Okay.
So there's that. So I don't know how that'll be, but
I mean, big spoiler. At the end of Ironheart, she makes a deal with Mephisto. You know, and it's just like, really?
And then it's over.
Yeah.
I was like, where's the next episode? Where's that bothered me a lot.
After she saw the Hood she knew the Hood made a deal with him and went really wrong. I'm like, why?
Right. Why don't they just put a puzzle box on the table in front of her and say, here, we have such sights to show you.
Nick my finger.
And she had already been told about like magic and like dark demons. And I'm like, okay, even if you don't know who Mephisto is and that he's like the literal devil, I'm like, shouldn't you be like, okay, this guy might be like a big ass demon. I shouldn't, like, you know, make a deal with him. But she does.
Still better than working for the U.S. government.
Make terrible decisions, so that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the only underlying thing she has in common with Tony. They're both captains of bad life decisions. So
yeah, but usually in an Iron Man movie, he can at least somewhat turn it around by the end of the movie.
Well, it's because he's Robert Downey Jr. and, you know,
the foundation of the MCU.
You know, it's, you know, when you have certain people in certain roles, they overcome whatever the character is. Harrison Ford overcomes the fact that Indiana Jones accomplishes nothing.
Yeah, but overcome, shouldn't that be the whole thing of a TV series or a movie? It's like, okay, the character may be flawed in the beginning, and even if they're still flawed at the end, they should have overcome something. I don't think
you would hope, unless you're in a Woody Allen movie where everything always ends bleak.
I don't know. Maybe he should have. It would have been better if Mephisto had just dropped into an Ali G accent at the end. You know, instead of like,
I was waiting. See, I was waiting for something like that to happen. You know, for him to be shape shifting between all of his characters.
Exactly, Borat and Ali G, and like, you know, totally like, you know, messing with her head. But,
you know, I thought he was good though.
No, I'm not discounting him at all. He's good.
But you're just in the wrong spot.
Again, like Greg said, it should have been like a Doctor Strange movie or something.
Yeah, but
there's so many places it would have made sense.
But because you drop something like that, and if you don't, it's like, oh, here's a cool Easter egg to kind of draw the audience back into this character, but the general audience doesn't know who the fuck Mephisto is and doesn't care.
Yep.
Right?
We
so
do, we
so
go see movies for free.
And it's so out of place because she's a tech hero.
And so you're drawing.
I don't think she's ever encountered Mephisto in the comics, so there's no precedent for it. I was just like, yeah, okay.
I guess like somebody had well, we have to use Mephisto. All right, here we go.
I'm curious to see what they do. I think is it December? I think we're getting the Wonder Man series on Disney Plus.
I don't really understand that. He's totally not the character. It looks fun. I love the actor they got playing it, but
it's probably because it's probably gonna be like he's probably not gonna interact with any Avengers or anything, or
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe are they just creating more stuff to put into?
Is he still like an actor? Is he still like kind of like
he is? I think it is.
He's an actor.
Personality. It would be really funny if they had him.
The guy that was the Black Manta in Aquaman.
Yeah.
Right.
He did several things. He's one of those actors. Every time you see him, he's very different.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I just hope they give him something to work with.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's like when I think about when they said we're going to be doing Guardians of the Galaxy, I went, why? Why are you doing that? And then James Gunn, you went, oh, this is really great.
Free movies.
So you never know when something's going to be great or when something's going to
or when you can't get a Blade movie off the ground.
The worst movie
ever. The fact they haven't greenlit a Wesley Blade movie, I know.
I always thought they're going to do one right now because who wouldn't go see that? Right, I would see that right this second.
Or even with Mahershala Ali, it's like
no, get him in. Get him in. Absolutely. Again, but I'm saying, how can you not?
Just think of the whole thing if you drop the Blade movie in October.
Yeah.
I would love to see more supernatural things from the MCU. Honestly,
Yeah,
I think we need to spice it up a little bit.
But let's do it. Let's do it right. Let's not.
Yeah.
I liked the original Blade movie. I remember seeing it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. So he really should get the credit for being the first real Marvel movie. And then so it was that was what was so fun about seeing him again in Wolverine, and he got the big applause.
Right.
When the theater I went, when he popped on screen, that was the biggest applause that anybody got for any of their things. And that's was like right there. Okay, this is the Blade you should be doing.
Exactly. And there's only one Blade. There ain't never going to be another
Blade. He
Blade.
can have Gambit as a sidekick just for
exactly.
I don't think audiences really want to see Gambit. I really don't.
Not Channing Tatum.
He was fun in the movie, but I don't need to see him again.
He was fun.
Yeah,
he was fun. Well, he's apparently in the Avengers. So, I saw him in some group shot of them all hanging out at Robert Downey Jr.'s house or something. So
yeah, because I think that's gonna be like the official goodbye to all those X-Men characters because they're gonna recast them all.
We'll see. I'll go see it. Now I want to see that on the big screen so I can actually see all the different little characters. It's like, how many characters are going to be in this thing? But again, it was amazing in in Endgame how many.
Oh yeah.
They managed to get so many characters in there and give them a little part in that final battle. It's it's pretty amazing to think. Man, that I can't even imagine how you start thinking about how to do this and how to choreograph it, and I think about the guys that do these effects and have to figure these shots out, and it's like, wow, that's got to be so complicated.
And people were still complaining, where's the Fantastic Four? Where's the X-Men? I think that's why in Endgame when Doctor Strange says, is that everyone? And Wong's like, what, you wanted more?
Right, that was a good bit.
Wait,
I forgot that Wong was in Shang-Chi, when he's like fighting the Abomination. And then that leads into the She-Hulk series, which I thought, it's like, which I didn't quite understand. What's he doing there fighting this, fighting the Abomination? And then when the She-Hulk, I went, good joke. More Wong. How about a Wong movie?
Yes, I would. Him
he's
and
always
Madison.
Enjoyable.
He's technically the Sorcerer
Madison,
right? Yeah. Madison.
Yeah, that's the movie I want to see. Sorry, not sorry.
what is it? An I and two N's, not where you think.
The
No,
wonderful
wait. So
world
is this
of
the start
Wong.
of the phase or the end of the phase? Because like we got Avengers Doomsday, so like usually like that kind of movie ends the phase. So
Well,
like,
I think it's going to be like Infinity War and Endgame. I think Doomsday
Well, it's
and
like Doomsday and then
Secret
Secret
Wars
Wars.
are going to be like
I
that.
thought
and
this was the start of the new phase.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't keep up with the MCU like that.
I
think
don't
this-
see these as phases. It's all one.
Yeah.
As long as it ends the dimensional phase, I'm happy with it. So
Yeah,
like,
because they said they're going to be like rebooting stuff, and I think they're going to cut down on the multiverse. So,
Okay, it's just so
We'll
hard to
see.
keep.
although
up
there's
with
not
it.
another Marvel movie till next July. That's the next Spider-Man movie.
Good for them. Good for them. Honestly. Like
I'm
just,
I'm
take your time
surprised.
and make the budget. Like
Yeah.
let that movie speak for it. Like it just got to be too much.
I
It
know. But
was.
I'm just like, how many years were they putting a Marvel movie at that first weekend in May, and now they're not? I guess next year they're not doing it.
But most of the time, I mean, listen, up until post Endgame, they were firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
You'd look forward to a movie and it would deliver. And even if it didn't feel like it delivered, if you went back and rewatched it, I mean, I remember not being that crazy about like the first Cap movie, but going back and rewatching it after like the other ones worked so well, I found like, hey, this really delivers.
Yeah.
So they really hit, the mark for a pretty good run. And then, after that, it was like, well, we don't know what the fuck we're doing, or we're just trying to churn stuff out. And that's where it really started kind of like stumble badly.
Yeah.
And there, the so-called plan of Kang and all that stuff wasn't helping them, at all. I honestly think, part of the issue is that, everyone goes into the whole idea that like everything was so carefully orchestrated with Thanos, right? But really, Thanos makes his big play at the start of Infinity War. Everything else is just a tease in those things in the post-credit sequence, right? Except for the very specific moment of Sam Jackson, saying, "I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative." Everything else you could completely erase from your memory, and Infinity War and Endgame work, on their own.
Oh yeah,
And
I don't think they even knew they were going to do all the whole stone thing right away. Because like at the end, I think it's
right
the Avengers movie when one of his little minions comes up to Thanos and be like, "Oh yeah, the Avengers beat you, it beat the thing, whatever." And it's just like, the battle that would be a court death or something.
Court death, right?
Yeah.
And he smiles. But like they tried to plant the seeds of Kang and the multiverse so deeply, like let's integrate it into the Loki thing, let's integrate it into this, let's integrate it into here, and it just becomes this fucking muddle. It's like the worst Wikipedia entry ever. Oh geez, I heard there's good things about it, like a Batman story, so I'm going to go read up about Batman, so I feel like I can get caught up on it. By the fifth fucking paragraph, right? You're like, I'm bailing on this, right? Like I can't concentrate enough to want to like go in all these ins and outs.
For the general audience, it's like, oh yeah, this Kang, you're gonna know this Kang variant and this Kang variant. And
variant.
If you're not reading comic books, you're like, what is this?
And even if you're reading comic books, you're like, what is this?
But the general audience is even more confused.
I'll suffer through all of it, but I sometimes go, why did you do that? That's why it's like it was such a pleasure to watch the Fantastic Four and just enjoy it.
Right. It just goes.
And I just enjoyed it. Deadpool, Wolverine, I just turned off my brain and I just enjoyed it.
Well, yeah, that was the other thing
it
about
was an apology. They're like, we know the last couple movies have been not the best. Here's some fan service, kids.
And put it on another Earth. You don't have to worry about like, okay, I haven't seen the last 30 movies, so I don't have to.
Totally smart. Yep.
I'm excited to see what they do next in Avengers Doomsday, I guess. So, although I'm not really excited about Doom as a villain, as the overarching villain, though.
About which movie?
Avengers Doomsday.
I just don't know what they're going to do with it at all. So we'll see.
Although we got to wait like a year and a half because I thought that was coming out next summer. They'd say in December of next year.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, I think it's next December.
Because again, the Spider-Man coming out next July. The Spider-Man Brand New Day.
I hope that it's more of just a grounded Spider-Man story.
They said it's going to be more street level.
I just get so tired of every movie. It's the whole the end of the world and everything. It's like Spider-Man was never that character. No. I want to see him just being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
I think they said the Punisher might be in it. But they said it's supposed to be very street level. I mean, as long as he's not Iron Boy anymore, I'm fine.
Yeah, I liked it better when he just was Spider-Man, and
he was smart enough to invent his own stuff, and yeah, he didn't need Tony Stark's money or whatever.
But I have enjoyed all the Spider-Man movies, so
yeah.
I enjoyed.
I feel like we're way overdue for a Spider-Man movie, actually.
And the Miles Morales ones have been fantastic.
Oh, if only we get the third one of that one already.
The animation style, I was just like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a little hard, for my older man eyes now to enjoy it, because it's harder to see so much. But thankfully, I can go back and say, what did I just see?
No, it's something you
they
can
did
watch
a really
again,
good job with the characters.
The only good thing Sony's done is they're holding on to that for dear life.
Did you watch the Craven movie?
That's
nearly as horrible as I thought it was going to be. But
that's the one I haven't watched yet. I keep meaning to watch that.
I'm sorry. I was just what was the other one? Madam Web. Yeah, maybe they'll show them on a double bill.
Well, that was wonderful. It's like, how could you guys not have known this was terrible while you were making it?
A lot of movies do that way.
You got this couple shots of them in costume. You're like, this is what I wanted to see, but nope. It's let's hide here. Let's hide.
All right. You know what I think we need to do one day? The four of us do an episode where we're like, okay, which one was worse, Craven, Madam Web, or Morbius?
Well, Morbius, he did at least say it's Morbin time, so we did have that catchphrase.
Did he?
No.
And
in my memory, he does. So
alternate timeline.
Yeah, I don't think there was any. It's Craven time or it's Madam time or whatever. So
I don't know. The trailer for the new Tron movie actually looked pretty interesting, where they come into our world.
You don't want to do that, my friend.
Yeah.
Maybe they leave the door open, Lilith, and we can go to the other one. We can go to the Tron world, and
I'd take it at this point.
Oh my God, I saw an article
Exactly.
today. I think it's like an asteroid or something that's going to be coming by Earth in the next couple months, and people are like, "There's."
Oh no, it's the.
Is that the one that's
alien,
the size of
probe.
43 cucumbers?
They're like, could it be a spaceship? And I was like, oh God, I hope so.
Yes. It's like, well, don't worry.
The one that's like
when a
moving.
silver being comes down and tells us that our Earth is being dead, we're finished. Fake news.
Right. It's like it'll be the guys from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Your planet has been chosen for a new galactic interstate. We will be removing. You should have gotten the form.
I like that movie. The movie
The
cracked.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean,
Wasn't
you got
quite as
Sam
wacky as
Rockwell
that
in it. You can't. If Sam Rockwell's in a movie, it's fun.
If Sam Rockwell's in The White Lotus, it's fun. So there's that.
And he was good in that too.
So maybe we can transplant his monologue from The White Lotus into The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and then it would be.
Oh dear.
And have him dancing like he did in.
Oh my!
He dances in every movie. It's literally like a contractual obligation that he's very tired of. Actually,
it should be. I feel slighted that he has not come back to the Marvel universe. Actually, I loved him.
I know he could. I mean, all they did was throw him in prison.
Yeah.
But he's way too much fun to be that character.
Yeah.
I want to see him as something else. It's like apparently Jason Momoa is now actually going to be Lobo. The character.
The original character that they pitched to him, and then
so we'll see how that works out. Hopefully it won't be another Black Adam. That was
because that's a Supergirl movie next year.
That was terrible. The Rock is Black Adam.
Oh, they said he tried to force his way in there, and they're just.
I don't know what no.
He went in to fight Superman. Meanwhile, it's like, hey, dummy, that's like, Captain Marvel, Shazam's enemy. But he didn't want to fight.
Right, but he wanted to remake it, and was trying to force the whole Marvel universe to revolve around him. Not Marvel universe, DC universe.
DC.
To revolve around him, and the movie tanked, and it wasn't really that good, and his tequila party at the launch for the movie didn't really work out so well, and so there you have it. So
I'm going to give this movie an F for fantastic.
I love it. That's the rating. F for fantastic. Good. All right, folks. I will leave you to it if you're going to continue to expand.
Well, I think we're going to wrap up, but do you want to promote?
Yeah, no, just check me out at storymaze.substack.com. If anyone's in the Atlanta area, at the end of August, I will be at Dragon Con for the Labor Day weekend, and that's it for the moment for me.
Go pick up Risk.
Go pick up. We'll talk about Risk on Saturday, so we'll go.
Yes.
Yeah,
and Axel's Infernal. Come on,
Infernal. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Greg.
Oh my.
And your screenwriting book.
That's right. You've got more things to know about that I should be promoting than I do. So
I love how he acts like he has enough.
It's late. It's late.
Got like 3-4
It's
things
not late. It's only 10:25.
At storymaze.substack.com. Go sign up.
That's right. All good things on there.
See, watch. This is how you promote stuff. Greg Wright, what do you have going on right now?
Nothing. No.
Nothing he can talk about.
No, I'm still working on Monster Island, and I just finished most of my part on the Secret Western thing that I'm doing with Ron Wagner, and the other Secret DC project. I don't know where that one is, but John Byrne's Elsewhen is finally being put out there. So
I saw that.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I wish I was coloring that, because last time he was doing X-Men stuff, I was coloring it. But yeah, it's a weird thing that he's doing that's coming out. But
is he writing and penciling and
everything? Yeah, well, he wrote like 30 issues of it just on the
his
internet,
own, right?
And then he, Marvel was wanted to publish it apparently, but he didn't like whatever they wanted, and now they're deciding to just do whatever he did. So I think fans will love it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a wild project. I wish they would do it. Isn't he even doing like some Star Trek comic forever like that too? That he's been doing
maybe.
Like he's just been doing like a Star Trek comic, I'm pretty sure, forever, like just on his own, and
must be nice.
in the same way, not just for himself. I would love if they would collect that and just release that in the same way.
If anyone's not watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds, watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
So it's good?
Oh yeah. Third season just started. Yeah, it's good.
I don't think I've seen it. Keeps me on the one thing I don't have as a streaming place for TV.
I have
Instant Mountain as Captain Pike. Yeah, it's very good.
No, it's all great. I have a hard time giving any money to Paramount. These days.
Yeah.
You don't blame you.
That's just me. All right. Well, then, guys, I will see you, Phil. We'll Saturday is good for you. We'll confirm then, and we'll go
Saturday morning. Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
Take care, folks. Be good.
Thanks.
This is fun.
Keep it fantastic, kids.